All right. Welcome today to the Oklahoma Archivists Association Part 3 of the Digital Platforms Examined webinar series. Today we will be exploring PastPerfect with Heidi Vaughn. Heidi is the director of the Laboratory of History Museum at the University of Central Oklahoma. Please feel free to fix that if I said any of those words in the wrong order.
You're perfect.
Yay. We're so excited to have you with us today. As I mentioned before, if you all have questions, we'll be monitoring the chat. Should have said, did I do all of that in mute? No. All right, Heidi, I'm going to pass this over to you.
Okay. Great. Let me see. I'm going to share my screen if that's okay. Let's see here. Okay, there we go. All right. Can everybody see that? It should say Laboratory of History Museum. Okay. All right, great. Okay, so good afternoon. I'm so glad to be here visiting with all of you about PastPerfect, and we use PastPerfect a lot in the museum, but we mostly use the objects section of PastPerfect here. But we have used the archives a little bit, so I've done some training on it, a little bit of training, very minimal, and then I've also been trying to bone up on it myself. But it seems like it's a really good program for all kinds of management, and I really like that it's very user-friendly. It's easy to input things, but it's also easy to find things, and then you can do custom reports. I really like it, and I have liked it for years. I've used it for at least 15 years, and this is this version is 5.0. I'm not liking it as much as 4.0, but you know, I'm finding that some of my colleagues there's a few things that they don't like about the 5.0, but I think it's mostly just getting used to it. So let me dive right in. In PastPerfect, you have 4 catalogs, or 4 collection areas. You have objects, photos, archives, and library. Of course, archives is what you all are going to be interested in. And the archives catalog field, the names in it are based on the work of the International Council on Archives, the Ad Hoc Commission on Descriptive Standards. So those rules are detailed in the International Standard Archival Description document, which you all are probably very familiar with. And then you can, if you need more information about that, of course, you can visit their website, ica.org. So let me get into, actually, I'll do that in a minute. Let me go ahead and get into the archives area. Okay, so you've got your catalog here. Basically, when you're starting from scratch, to add a new record, you would just go to add up here where the little plus sign is. And this is where you can add all of your accession information, object ID, object name, and it has a lot of great tools here. You can search for your object name by authority file, and you'll find within PastPerfect, what I really like about PastPerfect is it has authority files for lots of different fields. So in a second, I'll show you what you can do. Lexicon, you can search through the lexicon for your object name, and then the AAT online. So that's Art and Architecture Thesaurus, if you need to use that. So there's some good resources there. Oop. Sorry. Okay, can you still see my screen? Okay. Okay, so you can use all of those to help you if you're having trouble with your object name. And then you have your add options. You can add a single record, a range of records. You can fill it with current data. That helps when you're describing the same type of, collection over and over. So I'm gonna let's go out of here. And let's go into, okay, so we have this Hanley family collection. And I went ahead and entered this, and this is kind of just an example of what you can do. Sorry, let me get my notes together here. So let me go back here. Okay, this is one I want to start with, is the May Thatcher collection. So what I did for May Thatcher, and that one shouldn't be there, but is I went in and I entered things in this field for May Thatcher. What you see over here in the sidebar are some different views. You have the archive view, you can have a map view if you're entering a map, music collection, oral history, or you can create your own custom fields. If you have a predominant type of collection in your museum or your archive that you want to create a custom field screen view for, you can do that. Normally, most things are going to be an archive, but I do like how they have it split up into these types of different collections. Okay, okay, so in the archive screen view, you have, first of all, your identity statement. Once you've entered your collection and your object ID and all of this information, home location, and all of your dates and who's cataloging it, you can go to your identity statement, which is really your description. It describes the archival material that you're representing in the record. It's just your basic, really, description as we would do in objects. So let me do this. Let me go to edit, and I'll this will help me. So there are some hotkeys that you can use, function keys, that will help you if you're ever in the program and you forget, oh, what is this for? I don't remember what this field is for. You can click on F1 and it tells you what that field is for. You use this field to record subject matter and the form of the item to enable users to judge its potential relevance, give a brief summary of the subject content. It's an unlimited field. It can be as long as you like. So that if I went over here to title and clicked F1, word, phrase, character, or group of characters. So it just gives you that description of what you're actually supposed to put in this field. Because I know sometimes we get kind of confused, like, what date does this mean? Is this today's date? Is that the date it was made? Is that the date it was accessioned? So yeah, I think that's really helpful, F1. And then another function key, F2, it saves what you have, the changes you've made. So that's a good thing to have. And then F7 is the authority file. Now you'll find F7 is really useful in all different fields. For example, if you go to your cataloged by, click on F7, and of course these are all the students who have worked in the museum pretty much. And you will find your person who's cataloging and just double click on their name and it'll put it in there. And what this does is it keeps us from having spelling errors or other types of errors in our records. So if we're searching and everything's the same, it's so much easier to find things. So that's what authority files do for you. They also, for example, if you go to context, hang on, sorry, I'm hopping around a lot, but if you go to, say, well, in objects, you would have like materials that the item is made of, and you would have, you'd click on your authority file, and it would come up with metal, ceramic, wood, bone. So you could click on lots of different materials as they apply to that object. So F7 is a great key to remember as your authority file for a lot of these different fields. F8, you can assign your date. So if I just say I'm here and I click on F8, it's automatically going to put today's date in. Okay. And then you can also create function keys for whatever you would like them to do. So a lot of user-defined keys can be created. Okay, so of course, these are pretty self-explanatory. Of course, if you have your title of your item, date of creation, date of accumulation, that's really when the person who had it collected it and had a hold of it. So the extent and medium of the unit of description, and I know you all do a little bit different than we do in the museum, but for this one, we've got it right down to the item level, so it's just one letter, right? But you could have like 143 rolls of microfilm, you could have 100 cubic feet boxes, whatever your description and extent of that, what you're entering is. If it's associated with an event or a site, you can put it in there. Okay.
We were having a little side chat about the authority files within. So, and you showed that a little bit with the names, like you can populate it with all the people who might be inputting data.
Yeah.
I know that you can do the people, subjects, classifications and terms and things like that with authority files that you set to.
Right.
Do you know if you can import authority files, or is it just ones that you create? You may or may not know. It's fine.
That's a good question, because I am not sure if you can import. I have tried, hang on a sec. So, you know what? I really don't know. I'm sorry. I have never tried to import any, but I don't know. That would be a good question for PastPerfect people. I was trying to see if there's one where we could find, we could import. Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
It's okay. I know one of the helpful things with the people, subjects, classification, search terms is that once you set those two, that also helps just standardize data if you have really regular controlled vocabulary terms you use.
Absolutely. And another thing to keep in mind when you're adding people is do it one way or the other. Do it last name and then first name, or first name then last name, but keep it consistent throughout. I try to get my students to do last name, comma, first name, but it really helps if you are consistent with how you list them too. So, okay. So then you have more tabs here to add more information, context, who was the name of the creator who created the item. Administrative or biographical history. This can be really good. May Thatcher, she was the daughter of Richard Thatcher, who was our first principal, and she had several letters that we have in our collection. Some of this is exaggerated. I know Nicole's going, what? You have those letters? But mainly I did this so I'd have something to show you. And then the history, the archival history. So this is to record the successive transfers of ownership, responsibility, and or custody of the unit of description. So it's really your provenance associated with this item. And you're also supposed to indicate any actions such as history of arrangement, creation of finding aids, reuse, software migration, or reorganization of records that have resulted in its present structure and arrangement. So we listed here the letter was received in a box with 15 other letters that were not arranged in any certain order. They have now all been arranged chronologically. So you would add that information there. Structure. What are you going to do with this item? If it's up for deaccessioning or disposal, you'd want to enter that information. If not, we just put this to be held permanently by the Laboratory of History Museum. Okay, system of arrangement. How is it arranged in your collection? Stored in an archival box, and how it had been arranged. And then, of course, We've got one per letter in an acid-free folder arranged chronologically in an acid-free box. The disposition is if you are planning to return it to the creator, destroy it, whatever you're planning on doing with that, and then when you did it. Okay. And conditions of access, if there's any restriction, if there are any restrictions on the item or items, you would want to enter that here. Reproduction and copyright, of course, we all deal with that. Any restrictions on use of reproduction of the material would be here. Language you put here. Physical characteristics. So what you'd want to include here are things that might limit its use for research or reproduction. There are any physical characteristics of that. And then of course, finding aids would be listed here. Okay. Existence and location of originals would be under allied materials. If another institution holds a copy of this, or maybe it holds the original, this is where you would add that information. Existence and location of copies. We keep a colored copy in the May Thatcher binder on resource shelf A2 in the museum's reading area because these are used frequently in research by students. So we just keep copies there so we don't have to keep taking it out of the collection. And related units or description in this repository. So other things that May Thatcher may have donated would be listed here. And associated material in other repositories. So other places, institutions that may have material associated to this letter, you would want to list here. And then you have your
question about the finding aid area.
Yes.
Do you insert a URL to connect to the finding aid, or is it something that you upload the file itself?
You could do, I believe you could do both, but to do the URL, you would have to have what's called the multimedia module for PastPerfect. So it's something extra that you add on to your existing PastPerfect. And that allows you to do photographs. I don't have a photograph in here right now, but we do have access to that. And you can put in photographs, and then you can even, when you're doing, like say, a music collection, when you're cataloging that, you can add recordings of the music to go along with the catalog entry. So yeah, you can do that. Let's see. Okay, description control, rules or conventions. So anything that you may need to add under here. I know recently I've been going over with my students in my museum management class, the UNESCO, the 1970 UNESCO Convention and Archaeological Resource Protection Act and things like that. So anything that might fall under Migratory Bird Act, you'd want to put in here. And then of course, dates of descriptions, and then your archivist notes, anything that would be useful to researchers. And then also how you prepared that collection, how you, how you prepared it within your collection. So, all right. So now what I'm going to do, are there any other questions so far?
I think we're okay.
Great. Okay. So now I'm going to go to this other example. So when we're talking about container lists, and I know that in archives you use container lists a lot, and we don't use them very much in museums unless we're trying to catalog our archival collections appropriately and properly, and we're like, oh, container lists. So we have to do that. One thing I think is really, I guess I need to go back to that one. One thing I did here to just kind of show where you would have the container list and how you could add things to it. And this doesn't have, I mean, it could be May Thatcher, it could be something else, but you can go in and add a new container, and it gives you the location, what the name of the container is, folder, title, description, date, creator, subjects, and then you would just save it here. Excuse me. And you can add another one. What I do like about this is once you have, let's go into this one. Once I've saved information, I could have the date, creator. I can go in and find things, and I know I don't have many here to search within, but say I want to find those that were just written by Richard Thatcher. So it would search those and it would just find one. So it's a really good way to, if you have several things, which you all probably would in your archives, several things to search from, you can search from different, using different, descriptions or fields. You can also arrange your information by date, container, location, title, which I think is really helpful. So, okay. Right. Okay, one thing I did think that was really interesting is that there is a thing called multi-level linking. And now let me go to this one. Okay. Let's go back here. Okay, so okay. So what you can do with multi-level linking, okay, so for large collections, you may want to use this to link collection records together in a hierarchical system from the general to the specific, and separate records can be entered for each level of description: fonts, collection, series, subseries, folder, or item. I have to be honest with you, I had never heard the term fonts, and I'm sure you are all familiar with it. I always refer to it just as collection, but through some training and some of my own research, I found out, fonts is actually a term that you use. And of course, that's the whole of the documents, regardless of form or medium. And they're organically created, and you all know this, I'm sure, or accumulated and used by a person, family, or corporate body in the course of the creator's activities and function. So if we're starting at this very basic overarching level, we're starting at the fonts, and hang on. Oh, why am I? Oh, there it is. Okay. So with the Hanley family collection, we've got our object ID number, our accession, and this is the fonts. This is telling everything that came in, that overarching collection. Now, what we've done is we've added over here that its level is the fonts. Okay, you can add that over here on this multi-level linking level of description. So here we are. Okay, so if you want to link, say, a series within your fonts, you can go to, let's say we want to add the 3 letters. Okay, we have these 3 letters from William Hanley, and I didn't put all the description in. And we want to link that back to the fonts. So what we would do is we would go to View and Set Up Links. And hold on. I just did this earlier. So you would go to Create Link, and then you would enter that object ID number for that parent record, that fonts record. So let's put in 2003.001.001. Okay. And then you would click Create Link again. And now you've established the link between these 2 collections, okay? So if I go here, and this level we've added is series. So I go here, it shows that it is linked to that fonts Hanley family collection. And then of course you can add more in here for the other items. But I really think that's a neat aspect of PastPerfect, that you can do that.
I think we had a couple of questions.
Sure.
One was, do you know if you're able to create a finding aid from the container list or from, I would add to the records in general?
I think there was, where did I read that? Oh, the finding aid.
I know you can export those records.
Yeah, you can export them. No, I'm sorry that I don't have the, oh, that was back here. Okay, hang on. There was, let me go back to the finding aid notes I have.
Well, that was one. The other is if you, there was a request for you to talk a little bit more about the virtual exhibits tab.
Oh, sure, okay.
So.
Yeah, we just added that recently, the virtual exhibits, because we're actually trying to get some of our archival collection from World War II up on our website. And of course, COVID has kind of ruined our timeline for doing that. Let me go back to, okay, that was container finding aid. Container list. You know what? I may have to write some questions down and look them up and send them to you. I think you can do that with the finding aids, but I do not have the information on how to do that. I've never done it myself, so container list to finding aid. Okay, let me check that out. And okay, and what was the other? Oh, the virtual exhibit. Okay, yeah. Sorry. So yeah, you can, if we go to virtual exhibit, this record is not on a virtual exhibit. Okay, so what we would have to do is actually go back out to our virtual exhibit. And this is all what we are trying to put on virtual exhibit right now. And it gives you all kinds of great, and virtual exhibit is another one of those modules that you have to purchase separately to add to your PastPerfect software. But it gives you all kinds of ways you can lay it out in on your website. You can customize the buttons, you can customize the title text, your information, and then when you add your records, let's see if I want to add, let's say, let's see if it'll do it just by that. No, okay. Let's actually browse. Okay, so let's do this. I'm going to add this political poster. Okay, so we're going to add this political poster. Add this item. Okay, so it's been added. We can close it. And then view catalog records. Okay, so you can remove a record from the exhibit, or you can view the full record. And this you can set up in virtual exhibit so that your viewers can see all of the information or just certain fields that you want them to see. So, you know, if you have information that you would not want to be available to everyone who accesses your virtual exhibit page, you can do that. Set up list of exhibits. And then you have to build the HTML. And we do that through our IT. You build it, then you save it, and our IT department puts it up on our website for us with the FTP upload. But I think that you can do that if you are managing your own website. You're able to do it with this. So.
I know we're right at the 30-minute mark.
Oh gosh, I'm sorry.
Which, okay, no, it's okay. I just wanted to kind of make that aware to everybody. If there are folks that need to go, that's totally fine. If there are folks that want to stay, we'll take a couple of minutes just to sort of like, we can finish summarizing and keep asking questions and stuff like that too. But just wanted to give people permission if they needed to go, it'd be okay.
Sure. Right now, I'll go back to, I just want to show you one thing you can do when you're accessioning items is you can, what am I saying? You can make your own donor forms and things in the accession file. Your deed of gift, and any donor thank you letters and things like that. Anything that is in here that you can generate through PastPerfect, if you want to customize it, you can go into reports and you can search for whatever report it is that you want, say archives. Yeah, here's archives finding aid, run selected report. You can add what records you want, preview that report. You can customize it however you want. But another thing you can do, oh, see it said export from Excel too. So yeah, you can export from other places or to other places. Where was it? Archives, summary with images. There was a donor. Anyway, so you can go in. There was a specific form I was going to show you, and I've like completely forgotten what it was. But like deed of gift, you could go in and you could modify that, modify selected layout, and this is what it would give you. So you could actually go in and change all of these fields to make your deed of gift what you would want it to look like, and then just it automatically would generate it whenever you enter a new accession folder or file. So you don't have to find it on your computer and print it out and everything. It just automatically would generate that, and it would generate a thank you note or thank you letter with it, which I really think is really nice about PastPerfect. See what else. So the reports are really cool. You can do just about anything you want with reports. PastPerfect Online is a new thing they are doing. You can actually have your entire collections on the cloud, which that scares me, but it is something that some museums have switched to now with all the COVID and access to their collection software and database. They couldn't come in to do it, so they moved to the cloud. So PastPerfect is putting that out. What else do we have here? Temporary custody. When you first get items in, you can even generate a temporary custody deed of gift, which lets your donors know that you are temporarily receiving this until your collections committee approves it, or whatever language you want to use in that. What else?
There's a question about fees and setup. So I'm not sure if sometimes there's like contractual issues with talking about cost of programs. I'm not sure how standardized it is, but maybe you could talk either broadly or specifically about the costs, what it comes with the initial package, and what's the add-ons.
Right. Okay. Let me do this really quickly here. Oops. What did I do? Oops. Sorry. The last time we paid for it, because we got the upgrade, which was $100 just for the upgrade to 5.0. The last time I paid, it was about $400 for one computer. Now, if you have it on one computer, you don't have to pay any yearly maintenance or contract fees or anything like that. If you have it on more than one computer, you do. I'm going to go there. Website real quick, and then I'll share that with you. Share. Okay, and their website is museumsoftware.com. Products.
And if I remember correctly, PastPerfect is installed locally on the computer hard drive. It's not something that's networked at all, correct?
Right. Yes, it is installed on your own hard drive. And we have actually here at the museum, we have an external hard drive that we use to install it on, so it doesn't take up space on our our regular hard drive. Here's the pricing information. So, and yeah, if you're a member of AASLH, you can get a discount on the price. Here it shows all the upgrades. Well, it's gone up a little. So 5.0 is 696 if you're with AASLH, but that's a one-time price if you are just using it on one computer. So we have I don't have the barcode printing upgrade, but they have all kinds of interesting upgrades you can add. The multimedia I definitely recommend, because then you can put your pictures in and your links and any other type of multimedia you want to use.
And with the multimedia, is it in addition to that, where the PastPerfect Online is a different module on top of that, right? The multimedia upgrade is just so you can attach
the pictures, yeah. Right.
Yeah, an image like a thumbnail with
Right.
that collection record.
Yeah, that's what it would be. Excuse me, it's just that one-time price that you would to add it on to your standard PastPerfect. What else? Yeah. And I don't see the virtual exhibit on here, but here it tells, yeah, and there's the online collections. You can see what that's like. And then, but you do pay a hosting fee for that. Yeah, annual hosting, first 10,000 records. So that's a yearly fee you pay for that. You know, it depends on what you want to do, but.
And it's not necessarily, if you do the PastPerfect Online, it's not all your collections. You decide what collections are made accessible online.
Right, you can do that, yeah. So.
It's like a digital, it's sort of like a digital collections, digital asset management.
Sure.
It's maybe not as robust as some other digital asset managements, but it's definitely something that's cool because it's integrated into your collections management system.
Right, absolutely, yeah. So all in all, I think it's a great program, especially for museums. I'm so sorry that I'm not I'm not real.
I should have said you come from the museum side of the house. I should have said that up front.
Yeah, I try to learn as much as I can. I attend the workshops, the archival workshops, and but I know there are some differences and things that I'm not as well schooled in as you all are, but I love it for objects, and what I'm learning about it for archives, I think I really like, especially like that linking, because when you're working with archives, it's almost like you have to have that.
Yeah.
With your containers and your folders and your items and your, you know.
Hey, Heidi, I saw that you had do you have the development module for keeping track of your donors and
yes
pledges? Yes. Is that part of the just the basic? That's not an add-on module.
Nope, that's, hang on a second. That's with, yeah, that comes with the regular PastPerfect. You've got your, can you see my PastPerfect?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, development contacts, and like for membership and things like that. This is great. If you're a museum and you're doing everything in this one program, you can pretty much do it. Campaigns, fundraising.
That's pretty awesome.
It's really good for that. Yeah.
I think one of the interesting things, and folks, if you have anything, any other questions, go ahead and put them in the chat as we sort of finish up. But one of the things that I think for PastPerfect is well known for is if you work, especially at a smaller institution that has fat and flat stuff, right, that you're trying to do, museum collections as well as archival collections. Yep. It's really great because it can sort of serve multiple different needs. And some archivists, I think, get frustrated because it's not just an archival system. And some collections people get frustrated because it's not just a collections, right? But if you're looking for something that's a complete package, it's a pretty solid system.
I agree. And, you know, to add on to that, I think it's good for museum and archive people, especially for museum people, because it forces us to do archives appropriately, properly, you know, and,
I wasn't going to say that, but yeah.
That's okay. That's okay. So we have to learn it and we have to do it the way it's supposed to. We can't just stuff everything in the objects area. So I think
Heidi, is there a limit of any, are there limits of any kind? How many records you can have in it, or?
You know, and I'm thinking it may be that 10,000 for this also.
Scalable based on what your subscription is, isn't it? Or
Yeah,
what your package is?
yeah, I'd have to, because we never passed that, whatever the limit is. we don't
It's
pass it.
big.
Yeah, so, yeah, and I'd have to check with some of my colleagues too, because I've never heard of anyone saying that they've actually passed the limit. So, but yeah, I'm sure they could work with you on getting, you know, a different or an upgrade or something to it. So,
Are there any more questions from anybody?
I'll show you one thing also real quick that I like, if you guys don't mind. When you're changing things, editing, it has you, if you're going to edit the accession number, you have to do another step to do that, which I really like, because then you don't accidentally end up deleting your accession numbers and things like that. So there's some really good like safety features in PastPerfect that I really like. So anyway.
Yeah, that's cool.
It would save me.
All right. Well, at this point, I think I will say we've really appreciated you letting us look at your system back end. I think that was a really good walkthrough of things.
Thank you.
I wanted to remind everybody before I clear off that the Oklahoma Archivists Association is looking for nominations for officers, incoming vice president, and 2 members at large. So if you have nominations for that, yourself included, for folks who want to do that, those nominations are due by November 30th. I put the link in a minute ago for that website. Also, the parts for this webinar series 1 and 2 are already located on the OAA website if you want to go back and review those. So thanks so much for everybody. Appreciate your time today, Heidi.
Thanks.
Thanks, Heidi. Thanks, Sarah. It was great.
Thanks.
I want it now.